Hi, I'm John Fowler from Queen City Clay. I'm here at the studio on this lovely Thursday evening, which would have been a great day for class, but not for a while at least. But what I thought I would do is do a demonstration on one of our techniques for using ferric chloride in a pit fire. So ferric chloride is in this jug here. This is typically used for etching metals, but it gives you some really cool yellows, oranges, and reds in a pit fire, and it's really pretty easy to use. As long as you're doing it outside, you don't really need a face mask or anything. The way that I'm going to show you to apply it, it's not really getting vaporized. Some people do like to put it on the pots when they're hot, but then you get a reaction with all those chemicals and stuff coming at you. So we typically try to avoid that. So I've already poured some in my bin here, and I've got a couple pieces here. I've got gloves on, because you don't want to get on your skin, and I've got some glasses, just in case it splashes. And what I'm going to do is just kind of, you might want to move in closer, Jamie. Jamie's my videographer here today. I'm going to put it in the bin with the ferric chloride, and I'm going to kind of brush it around. I'm kind of trying to avoid some areas on these pots. I've got some areas that I've got waxed because I want to do something specific on those areas later on. But for right now, I just want to get one good coat on it. And you can, if you're not worried about the ferric chloride getting inside the pot, you can just roll your pot around in the bin. I'm just trying to be a little bit more delicate with it. So you can see the first one's out, and you can see it's like an orange color. So what we found with the pit fires is that if we keep the temperature pretty low, we can keep these brighter colors. If you do a really hot fire, you'll get more like pink and peachy colors. If you do a medium fire, you'll get some really nice reds. And if you do a really mild fire, then you get lots of yellows and oranges. So that one is, you can see it dries really fast. That one's almost dry already. And for all of these, I always put 2 coats on. So since this one is ready to go again, I take it, put it back in, and just get another coat on it. Now, something that I like to do when I put the second coat on, after I get it on, is sprinkle a little bit of sugar on the pot. And this will give you some really nice little black or white dots on the pot after you fire it. So it just kind of adds a little bit more interest to the piece. This one on there. So when I'm doing that, I do it away from the pan, kind of give it a shake. And you really don't need a lot. If you put too much on, it's just going to go black. So you kind of want to be gentle with it. So then I'm going to leave that one out there to dry while I work on the other ones. Now the reason you want that second coat to dry pretty well is because when you put it into the aluminum foil, we always do foil saggers with these. You tend to get much more color development. It kind of helps keep the chemical in with the pot while it's firing. But you want to make sure that it's dry before you put it on the foil because it has a really strong exothermic reaction. So it'll create a lot of heat and get really hot, and it can burn you. So always be careful about that. So a little bit of wetness on there is alright. You just don't want it to be sopping wet. You kind of see that I'm trying to dry the bottom off a little bit just to make sure that it's fairly dry. And so now I'm going to bring it over to my foil, and you're just going to wrap it up tightly. Make sure that you're closing it up really well. And now this one will be ready to go into the pit. So we'll be back in just, well, it'll be less than a second for you, but we'll be right back and show you how we do the pit firing part of this. We're back. So with this pit fire, I do a little bit differently. Typically you would have a layer of wood, layer pots, layer of wood, layer pots, and just kind of let it burn out. But Jamie, if you can kind of pan down into our pit here, I've let most of it burn out now to where I've got a good coal bed. Because what I want to do is kind of like when you go camping and you make those foil packets for meals, the same kind of idea here. I've already got all my pots over here wrapped up with the chemicals and sugar on them, and now I just want to lay them in there. Because I really don't want a hot fire, because it burns out a lot of that bright color. So now I'm just going to kind of disperse these down in here. And you can decide if you want them to be on their side so that you kind of get a difference from one side to the other, or if you want them to sit straight up. So you have options to kind of play around with how to fix your piece. Alright, now once I've got all this down in there, what I want to do, I've got a bag of really skinny sticks here, so I just kind of want to create like a flame up. I want the fire to flame up, burn out really quick. I don't want it to get terribly hot, but I kind of want all the parts of the pot to be touched by the flame. What I'll probably do here in the next week or two is I'll do one of these also in a can. You can take a metal garbage can and do the same kind of firing. So that's a nice way that you can do this at home. If you'd like to try this out, it's really easy. It's $20 for one of the metal cans. And you can just use sticks from your yard. These all came from my yard. We have two big trees that like to lose sticks, so I generally have a pretty constant supply. Okay, so at this point I'm going to let it go. Those sticks will catch on from the coals on the bottom. And then tomorrow morning I'll come back and unload all the pots and kind of clean them up. And then we'll put on a video showing what the results were. Thanks for your time. Good morning, this is John Fowler from Queen City Clay again. Just to follow up to yesterday's ferric chloride pit firing, these are the results. I'm pretty happy. I've got a lot of bright yellows and oranges. You can see in areas where it's like a darker red, that's where the piece got hotter. You can really see that here on this bowl. I'm getting some nice reds, and the ones that really get hot kind of go to this maroon kind of a color. You'll see some of that. And where's that one? And this one has more like a pinkish kind of hue to it, to where it got really hot. So that's kind of a nice way to play around with this, just by kind of altering how long you fire the pieces, how hot you get them. There's really a wide range of colors that you can kind of get with the ferric chloride. So the next step will just be to wash these up. And then I got a few other little things that I like to do, but maybe we'll talk about that later. This kind of gives you an idea of what these will look like when they're waxed, when I get them wet. So you can see with that kerosene surface, you can get a really nice shiny piece. Alright, that's it for me. Thanks.